What's good, people? It's Jem here. 10 reasons why your virtual daily scrum sucks. Now, this is still applicable if you're doing it physically, but I feel like daily scrums are impacted even more because we're working virtually. Let's talk about those 10 reasons. Number one, you're there by force. You have been told that you have to go along, and you haven't even felt secure enough or confident enough to put your hand up and say, it's not something that I want to do. When people go to these meetings by force, the lights are on, but no one's home. You're there because you're complying and you have to be there. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might be asking, well, what happens if in a team of 8 people, 2 people don't want to come along? We can't keep inviting people. Surely we just got to make it happen. In a situation where some of the team don't want to come along, but the majority do, let it play out as an experiment. What I've found in such a situation is that those who haven't come along will hear about what happens in the daily scrum. And if it's positive, well, humans love to gossip, and that positive gossip will travel to them. It may encourage them to come along to the other one, or there is a healthy peer pressure that's created by the people who turned up that wants the others to come along because there's conversations that they're missing out on. Run the experiment, play it out. But what we don't want to do is rely on force for people to come along because they're not going to be engaged. Number 2, people try to solve problems at a daily scrum. The daily scrum is not to solve problems. The daily scrum is to surface problems. If something comes up, we need to understand who can help that person deal with it, point out that it needs to be an offline conversation, and just let it happen. If we were to all solve problems at the daily scrum, we're going to be there for a very long time, and we're back to that same problem of engagement. Of course, there's some nuance there. Some teams will say, okay, we can solve problems. If anyone's got the answer and it's quick, let's go for it. Yeah, we can make the exception, but let's try not to solve problems at a daily scrum. Number 3, waiting for the daily scrum to catch up. The whole day has gone on. People haven't interacted very much, whether it's face-to-face or over messengers. And as I said at the start of this video, this problem has been made bigger and harder because we're not having those spontaneous conversations in the canteen or popping out for a coffee or walking past somebody's desk and catching someone's eye and having a chat. So we wait for that one point in the day where we're having a daily scrum. Before you know it, it's inflated and we're there for a longer time. What we want to try and do is encourage people to have the conversations before they come along. However they wish to do that, ask the team to think about whether it's tooling, whether it's coming to the office now and again, but something that is going to encourage people to have conversations dynamically and fluidly throughout the day without waiting for the daily scrum. We'll have a lot more to say if we've not spoken the whole day. Number 4, you don't know why you are there. It's very possible that you could join a team who turn up to their daily scrum and follow orders, but don't really know why they're there. They don't really know what problem the daily scrum tries to sort in terms of the transparency, the collaboration, dealing with the risk of things changing, the empirical part, right? Transparency, inspection, adaptation brings empiricism to life. One way that we can help people see the why of something is for them to understand what the impact is if we don't do it. So I've had teams experiment with not doing a daily scrum, seeing that certain things have been missed, seeing that, if we've had a change in the sprint backlog, we may have needed to bring the product owner in, but we missed out on that information. Somebody's been struggling with some work, we missed out on that information. There were dependencies with another team and we couldn't raise it to get that sorted, we've missed out on that. So right, look, that's a way for people to understand the why. When we remove the event, they can see the impact of it, and that can become a trigger for people wanting to give that event a wholehearted go. Number 5, everyone has to use those 3 questions. So, we've got those 3 questions in Scrum that have been there since the start of time. That's how it feels. What am I doing now? What am I doing next? And, what am I blocked on in the order that you see fit? Following a script, it can feel, again, like it's monotonous and we're affecting engagement. We're dealing with adults, right? As long as people can update one another with where they are towards a sprint goal, that can be enough. Number 7, of course, in Scrum, we don't have lead devs. At least that's what the Scrum guy says. Now, even if you do have a lead developer, you've got one person who is pointing out who's going to be speaking next, assigning work or allocating work to individual developers. Don't be surprised that they're not going to like that meeting. It's going to feel like we're going back to the old days of one person has all the answers, a la Taylorism, allocating the work. Again, this affects engagement. Nothing wrong with there being people who have got a greater level of experience than other people, but it doesn't mean that they should be controlling the conversation. Remind people what the goal is, work within the constraints of the time box, and let's have that facilitated so it's not a coordination meeting for one developer. Number 8, it's a one man or woman Jira show. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone's huddled around a big screen. One person's moving the mouse, and it's got a similar vibe of the lead dev, coordinating the meeting. If you are going to be in a situation where, you're using Jira to drive the visualization, pass the parcel, right? Have different people take control of the board, and in that way, you will have more engagement and more ownership because we are all operating the visualization, not that one person. Number 9, everyone has to speak, right? Even if you've not got anything to update on, even if you're pairing up with another developer, you have to speak. You don't have to speak. It's quite possible that you've come to the daily scrum and nothing has changed. So just say that and keep it moving. Number 10, I used to have a team who would roll out a board from a meeting room and then provide their updates to one another. This board was dead. There was no lifeblood to this board. So nobody was updating this board in real time, and it was only one point in the day where they'd be updating the board. And so what that felt like was people would come along in the morning, start moving cards along because they had to. It was more like administration as opposed to using the board to visualize what is going on, to demonstrate and showcase to one another where there might be risk or where there might be help needed or where there is progress, whatever. And that really it felt like a drain, like there was no energy in a daily scrum because no one saw the importance of keeping the board alive. So you want to keep that board alive. We want to try and encourage the team to use the board in real time, whether it's electronic or physical. If we move cards in the daytime, that becomes a trigger for a conversation rather than waiting for the daily scrum. Therefore, it makes it more of an effective meeting because we're now talking to something which has been updated and looked after in real time. All right, that's what it is. They're the 10 tips that I have for today. Love to hear your comments and your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.